talk about Ghostbusters, the porn parody. Yes, it is here. Now, granted, like I said, I was already going to be reviewing it, so let's talk about this thing right here, right now. Now, overall, just very quick thoughts. I actually thought I laughed in this movie, or if you want to call it a movie, pretty much way more than the Ghostbusters 2016 that just came out. But let's get to this thing right here. There's going to be a rating system when it comes to these type of reviews, which is pretty much limp, which is pretty much the worst of the worst. It really didn't do anything for me. A decent shot, which means it's kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good, but some of it just really didn't work. And then full blown, which is just like, it's about as hot as you can possibly get. So that's the three things. So let's get into this Ghostbusters shit right here, right now. So the very beginning of this shit kind of starts off with Monique Alexander, I believe her name is. And she's kind of feeling herself, you know, she's playing around a little bit, she's getting it down and dirty, she's putting her hands down her pants or whatever it may be. And then we get this ghost, pretty much played by Kieran Lee, and don't get me started on his special effects, which is kind of strange for the most part, because it's just like, the porn industry is like a big industry with money. Why can't they just like find some decent effects? But you know, for the most part, it was okay. Anyways, you know how Dan Aykroyd pretty much has sex with a ghost, or he gets blown by a ghost. Well, just imagine that a little bit reversed, because apparently Kieran Lee, the ghost, is like, you know, he has to, you know, his shit out, and pretty much he's going right into Monique, and he's about to like force it in on top of her face, and then she sees it, she kind of blows his fucking ghost, and then boom. That happens, and then apparently the ghost turns into a fucking human. They bang in and out. You get some gagging action going on. There's a little bit of an aggressive style for the most part. I did like they didn't really waste too much time with this shit for the most part, because sometimes these porn parodies, they do waste too much time, and then it's just like whatever. But for the most part, they really didn't do too much here. They like I said, there's some gagging that was kind of hot or whatever it may be. Take from behind, like I said, an aggressive style, because I'm guessing the ghost hadn't had some in quite some time, but then it kind of obviously ends, and then he blasts on her. The cum shot was actually not bad. It seemed like it went on her face. She kind of spit it out a little bit. Anyways, I thought it was actually a pretty solid scene to kind of like really kick this thing off, and it was pretty good. I thought the chick, Monique Alexander, was actually pretty good. And I'd say that scene, if you had to rate it from like an A to whatever, maybe I'd give it probably like a B+. I thought it was actually quite good. Then we turn out that she's actually talking to the real Ghostbusters, apparently, which is the dudes or whatever, these four guys. She tells her their story, whatever it may be. They don't really believe her. They say, hey, you should form your own team, blah, blah, blah. Next scene is boom. We go into this exorcism shit. So therefore, Sandra Rain and kind of Monique Alexander see this exorcism chick. They have to kind of fuck that possession out of her. And then it's kind of like a girl-on-girl thing. And then it's kind of like a fun scene for the most part. But I feel like it was slightly off, mainly because of the fact that they were doing a demon thing a bit. So it kind of just felt a little bit too off. So therefore, I wasn't, you know, it was on and off for me, I feel like. But, you know, they each have big tits. They kind of playing around or whatever. But I feel like the scene didn't really end. Then we go to the next scene, which is pretty much this, you know, this black chick, which I thought was pretty hot. You know, Nikki Benz and fucking Bodhi from, like, Point Break. And they're all getting it on in this, like, three-way. So that scene, I thought, was actually the best scene of the entire the movie or whatever it may be. I thought that was actually quite good. You see some POV action, you see some of them chocolate lips, you see some big tits. You see them kind of like force feeding them, you know, kind of some BJs or whatever it may be. Then he kind of like blasts it, kind of lands on both of these chicks, girls' faces, whatever it may be. And that's kind of, I guess you say, the best kind of endings. Because if a dude's kind of having a three-way in like a porn film, whatever it may be, I think it's best if it goes on both girls. Because if it's just like one girl and like, okay, whatever. But it goes on both. They kind of share a kiss. And then we get back to the possession thing. That kind of ends. And then we get to the final scene. The thing about the bald dude that was in like the Ghostbusters guys, whatever it may be, he kind of looked like Michael Keaton. But they kind of say, oh, these Ghostbusters women are kind of like taking over the world for whatever it may be. Women Ghostbusters? That shit is stupid. That's what they literally say. Anyways, we get the final scene. They kind of get a call. Boom. We go to the fucking like hotel, kind of like the original movie. They see a ghost. They kind of banging out. Then it's kind of like a gangbang thing. We see some anal. We see, you know, interracial. Obviously, the black dude. The thing about the black chick that was in that like three-way before, I feel like she did more than Ernie Hudson in any of these movies. Now, granted, I don't think Ernie Hudson would really want to do anything she really did in this movie, but I'm just saying I think they utilized her a lot more better. But then, like I said, the gangbang happened. That's kind of a good scene for the most part. Veronica Louvre, if I think her name is right. She did pretty well for the most part. And then they kind of blast her, whatever it may be, with their proton packs and then with their dicks. And then and then it kind of ends. And then they say the best line probably of any porn parody ever. We came, we saw, we fucked its ass. And then that was kind of it. Now, overall, I thought this porn parody was kind of a very funny in some way, but I felt like it was just very shitty written. Now, granted, I know what you think it's a porn parody, whatever it may be, but, you know, see Axel Braun, he kind of put some effort into it, and he kind of has respect for the source. But I feel like this was just kind of like thrown together, be like, hey, let's get some big titty chicks, and then just put them in there. Granted, it worked, but it just wasn't really anything special. So to wrap this up, what is the rating? I give it a pretty decent shot. It's not great, it's not good, but it had some hot moments in there. But if you want to see it, go ahead. I think it's better than the 2016 Ghostbusters. And look, I think everybody will fully support this female team. But that's just my thought. Comment, subscribe, and like. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm signing out.